job as
A police officer's personal life is their job.
But
They're on duty
assessing-
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
For the period that we're assessing, all we can assess is the job that he's doing as chief.
I also.
Sorry,
What
time out.
about-
I just want to clarify. I think the perspective here, what's going on is that I think we're not asking you, yes, we understand you don't condone his behavior, but that's not, it's just the issue. The issue is also that I want you to recognize police culture and how someone can see something happen that's wrong and turn a blind eye and do not have accountability for each other. That type of behavior. That is police culture, and it allows it to grow and develop over time. So I think that's what the concern is here, police culture. We want you to understand that the trust is broken and that people are frightened and there's no transparency. And there are a number of issues there. We're not saying that you're wrong for not saying anything about his behavior 10 years ago or your decision that you've made about his behavior. We're just saying recognize it, acknowledge culture, and acknowledge that the negativity grows and the historical past. I guess that's all.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do.
We totally understand.
We can comment on this, and we do to some extent the O'Day issue, which we obviously it was handled very poorly. It was a huge blow to any progress that had been made to public trust.
Right. O'Day's gone. He'll never be a cop again in the state of Oregon.
Right, and actually we just found out he was charged with a misdemeanor for that case. I have no other information on that.
That means he'll probably never be a cop in this country again.
Right.
But what about the other dirty cops that are out there? The ones that other cops don't turn in and don't cover up.
And that's something that we hope to be able to continue to work with the Bureau to address that, because yes, it's absolutely critical that that's addressed.
That those cops do the most damage to the whole Bureau, and that we have pointed that out, and we will continue to point that out, and I think that it would be good for the community to continue to point that out. And
Okay.
so,
I'll give you a good example. Me and Mike ran into, we seen a police car, we filmed the police, and it was at this church. All the lights were out. There was no light on in that church. We literally walked all the way around that church. There was no light on. We sat at the front door and waited, right? This officer and this female cadet, which is the equivalent of an Explorer Scout, right? Between the ages of, I think, 16 and 18, walked out of that church. Now, you should have seen the looks on her face when she seen us, and the looks on that officer's face. Now, the Portland Police Bureau goes, oh, that's just a place where they do paperwork. How do you do paperwork when there's no lights on in there? He didn't have his computer in his hand. He didn't have any paperwork in his hand. What were they doing in a church with no lights on?
well, that we can't pass judgment on that, and if there's a need to file a formal complaint, that should be done.
Right, if it's what you're alluding to that it was, if that's what it was, that's horrible, must be addressed. But to comment on the specific circumstances.
I've addressed it to the Portland Police several times, and they go, well, that's just a place where we do paperwork. The question is, what is a female cadet, a minor like that, with an officer in a church that's all blacked out with no lights on?
Where is the church?
162nd,
And what?
between Stark and Division.
So, I think what you're asking is how do you look at that? The first question is has a complaint been filed? The second question is there a policy in place saying that officers and the female cadets should not be together alone? I don't know the specific circumstances of the event. I don't know all of that, but if there are systems set in place like IPR and IA to look at that, then we will look at whether those functions have occurred as they're designed to be. But other than that, we can bring up, I'm sure, 1,000 instances where the circumstances are unknown, but in terms of systematic approach.
If you did the same thing, and you told the cop, I'm just in there doing paperwork, and there's no paperwork in your hands, there'd be a criminal investigation.
Well, and it plays into the Matt Hennessy scandal where Mayor Hales cavorts with this fellow who admits that he raped his 12-year-old female relative, and he tried to get some activists up into a church, and they felt offended by that. So even within the police reform community, some people are like, hush, hush, like Roger Hardesty, the fellow who was arrested today. He's like, oh, this is a character smear, or it was a long time ago, like the same old story. But to me, if you want to have an atmosphere that's family friendly and truly inclusive, people don't want to bring their children to an event in a church with a child molester who really ruined this woman's life. And similarly, with the issues that Bob is bringing up, the like.
We hear what you're saying, and we're not going to condone if what you're implying is going on. Obviously, it's wrong, and I think the bigger issue, is there a double standard in policing? Are the police allowed to get away with things that the average citizen is what you're saying?
Then time shouldn't. You shouldn't sit there and say, well, that was then, now's now.
But we don't know. I don't have any facts about